For years, Donald Trump acted like the Republican Party belonged to him. Like every senator, every governor, every donor, and every voter existed to serve his next demand. But this week, something happened that even Trump didn't see coming. His grip finally snapped. His threats stopped working. And the GOP, his own loyalists, erupted in a way he's never experienced before. It didn't start with Democrats. It didn't start with protesters. It started with Republicans inside Indiana who shocked him by saying one word he genuinely cannot process. No. That refusal sent Trump into one of the most chaotic meltdowns of his political career. And when he lashed out at the wrong family, the fallout hit instantly. What happened next would send shockwaves through his entire movement and expose just how fragile his power has become. Trump has been obsessed with the 2026 midterms for months. According to reports, he believed that if he could pressure red states to redraw congressional maps now, mid-cycle, he could artificially lock in 2 or 3 extra Republican seats before voters even show up. He wasn't subtle about it, and he wasn't hiding it. Rumors inside GOP strategy circles claimed he contacted state leaders directly, urging them to fix the map before it's too late. Texas pushed back. Kansas stalled. And Indiana, the state he thought would obey instantly, suddenly realized the plan wasn't just desperate, it was probably illegal. Republicans there didn't want the lawsuits. They didn't want the chaos. They didn't want to sacrifice their own careers just so Trump could feel safe. Trump expected loyalty. Instead, he got resistance. And that resistance cracked something open inside the party. But the real explosion hadn't even started yet. Behind closed doors, Indiana lawmakers began whispering the unthinkable, that Trump's plan was a disaster waiting to happen. They didn't want to waste political capital. They didn't want national backlash. And they definitely didn't want to be dragged into another frenzy of lawsuits. So they told him the one word nobody ever tells Donald Trump: we're not doing this. The moment that news hit him, his reaction was pure panic. Trump began rambling about imaginary lawsuits in California, claiming ballots were flooding the streets, insisting he would sue everybody, and trying to scare Republicans back into formation. But the fear wasn't working anymore. Because the problem for Trump wasn't the map, it was the message behind it. Indiana Republicans weren't just rejecting his plan, they were rejecting his dominance, his influence, his ability to command obedience with a phone call. And that's when Trump did what Trump always does when he feels cornered. He lashed out. But this time, he crossed a line even loyal Republicans refused to ignore. During one of his late-night rants, Trump hurled a disgusting slur at Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's child, a child with a disability. He did it casually, cruelly, as if mocking a vulnerable kid was just another punchline. For Trump, it was another tantrum. For Republicans, it was a breaking point. Indiana State Senator Mike Bosma, a conservative who had supported Trump for years, has a daughter with Down syndrome. When he heard Trump use that word, it struck a personal nerve. It wasn't political anymore. It was human. And Bosma snapped. He went public. He went loud. And he delivered the strongest blow Trump has suffered from inside his own party in years. I will vote no on Trump's redistricting plan until he proves his behavior deserves a congressional majority. Think about that. A Republican senator told the President of the United States that he needed to earn the right to have a majority, like he was a child being put in timeout for bad behavior. Trump was humiliated, and this was only the start of his unraveling. For the first time since Trump stormed into national politics, the cracks inside MAGA aren't whispers in back rooms, they're happening out in the open. The image of a perfectly loyal, perfectly obedient Republican Party is collapsing in real time, and Trump can feel it slipping through his fingers. What used to be a movement built around fear and intimidation is now showing signs of exhaustion. Lawmakers who once followed him without hesitation are quietly stepping away, and some aren't even trying to hide it anymore. Behind the scenes, Republican strategists are admitting what Trump refuses to hear, that he's no longer the political powerhouse he once was. His rallies don't overflow like they used to. His speeches wander into strange, confusing territory that even longtime supporters struggle to follow. His late-night posts feel less like strategy and more like desperation. And the more chaotic he becomes, the more nervous his party grows. There are also growing concerns, whispered but widespread, about Trump's stamina and judgment. No one will say it on camera, but everyone sees it. The slurred sentences, the rambling rants, the unpredictable mood swings. These moments don't inspire confidence. They spark fear, not the kind that keeps lawmakers in line, but the kind that makes them question whether tying themselves to him is still worth the risk. And then there's the political danger. Trump doesn't just attack Democrats. He turns his rage inward, aiming it at Republicans who dare question him. Instead of unity, his tirades create division. Instead of loyalty, they ignite resentment. That internal chaos is exactly what played out in Indiana, and it's happening in other states too. Trump still thinks the party is his. But the revolt spreading through the GOP is proving otherwise. While Trump is busy lashing out at Republicans and picking fights he can't win, there's another threat creeping up behind him, one he desperately wants the country to ignore: the Epstein files. That name alone is enough to send shockwaves through political circles. And right now the pressure around the case is rising in a way that Trump cannot control. A federal judge has been pushing the Department of Justice for clarity on how they plan to protect the identities of victims in the next wave of document releases. Victims' attorneys have warned that careless handling could re-traumatize survivors. And the strangest part, House Republicans have already made things worse by releasing materials that reportedly exposed multiple identities that were supposed to remain protected. Democrats immediately called it reckless, survivors called it dangerous, and observers called it exactly what it looked like: total political chaos. Trump hates chaos he doesn't control. And this is the kind of story he fears most, the kind where leaks, documents, and testimonies are beyond his reach. Online discussions have exploded with speculation about who might be mentioned in the next set of files. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is proven, but the buzz alone is enough to cause panic in Trump's world, and the timing couldn't be any worse for him. His party is fracturing, his influence is slipping, his anger is alienating allies right when he needs them most. Rumors circulating in political circles suggest he's terrified behind the scenes that the new filings could drag old controversies back into the spotlight at the exact moment his political foundation is crumbling. Trump can scream about maps, immigrants, lawsuits, and conspiracies all he wants, but the truth is simple. There are battles he can intimidate people out of, and then there are battles where documents speak louder than threats. Trump has always thrived in chaos, but what's happening now isn't the kind of chaos he controls. It's the kind he drowns in. His reactions don't look calculated anymore. They look frantic. One moment he's threatening governors, the next he's ranting about secret plots, and then he's firing off late-night posts that feel like someone hammering keys out of pure panic. The pattern is impossible to ignore. This isn't strategy. This is a meltdown unfolding in real time. And here's the part that truly terrifies him: the country isn't reacting the way it used to. For years, every outrageous statement became national news. Every insult made headlines. Every threat dominated cable coverage. But now, the outrage cycle has burned out. Cable news barely touches his rants. Pundits shrug. Even his wildest claims fade from the spotlight within hours. That silence is devastating for someone who feeds on attention. Trump doesn't fear criticism. He fears irrelevance. And watching his once massive media echo chamber shrink is a blow to his ego that no rally crowd can fix. Inside the GOP, the mood has shifted too. Instead of rallying behind him, lawmakers whisper about fatigue. They complain privately about the nonstop drama, the constant emergencies, the never-ending crises. Some say he's become unpredictable. Others say he's simply not the same political force he used to be. None of them will admit it publicly, but every one of them feels it. And Trump feels it too. That's why his posts are angrier. That's why his speeches drift into strange tangents. That's why he lashes out at allies one minute and begs for loyalty the next, because underneath the rage, there's something else. A growing awareness that the power he once held with a single tweet is fading faster than he can grasp. The spiral isn't coming. It's already happening. For nearly a decade, Trump operated like nothing could touch him. Not scandals, not investigations, not lawsuits, not even violent chaos unfolding on his watch. He believed the rules didn't apply to him, that he could bend the country to his will through fear, volume, and sheer force of personality. But the moment his own party stopped reacting to him the way they used to, something fundamental shifted, and now the collapse he never imagined is happening right in front of him. You can see it in his behavior. Every rant carries a sharper edge. Every speech feels like someone trying to hold onto a version of themselves that doesn't exist anymore. Every threat sounds emptier than the last. It's not confidence pushing him forward, it's panic inching in from every direction. Meanwhile, Republicans are making a calculation that would have been unthinkable a few years ago. They're starting to believe they can survive without him. Some even believe they might be better off. That's the real danger for Trump, not Democrats, not journalists, not prosecutors. It's the slow, cold realization inside the GOP that they don't need him the way they once did. And that shift creates a new kind of political gravity. Once one lawmaker refuses to bow, others feel safe doing the same. Once a state pushes back, others notice. Once donors question the chaos, their peers start asking if the investment is still worth it. Revolt spreads quietly at first, then suddenly. Trump built his influence on the illusion of invincibility. But illusions only survive if people keep believing them. And right now, Republicans are waking up from the spell. He can scream. He can threaten. He can melt down online every night. But nothing stops the truth from setting in. The empire he built on fear is finally cracking. And this time, the crack is coming from inside his own walls. Every political story has a turning point, a moment where the momentum shifts so sharply that nothing goes back to the way it was before. And for Donald Trump, that moment is happening right now, not with a courtroom verdict, not with a democratic strategy, but with a quiet, steady rebellion inside the very party that once treated him like an untouchable king. This isn't the dramatic, explosive collapse he always warned his followers about. It's slower, colder, more humiliating. A drip-drip betrayal from people who once cheered his every move and repeated every line he fed them. What makes it dangerous isn't the noise, it's the silence. The silence from Republicans who once rushed to defend him but now just look away. They're tired of his rants, tired of his feuds, tired of being dragged into crises they didn't ask for. And most of all, they're tired of being forced to excuse behavior they know, privately, is impossible to defend. Trump senses this shift. That's why his reactions feel so frantic. Why his posts read like someone trying to claw back power slipping through their hands. Why every criticism feels personal. Because this time, it is personal. It's his own circle stepping back, his own allies checking the exits, his own movement starting to fracture at the edges. The meltdown over Indiana wasn't an isolated event. It was the first domino, the proof that the magic is wearing off. And once people realize their leader bleeds, the fear that held the movement together evaporates. The Trump era isn't ending with a roar, it's ending with hesitation, with lawmakers choosing distance over devotion, with supporters quietly drifting away, with a party that once trembled at his anger now questioning whether he's worth the chaos. This is the moment everything turns and Trump can't stop it, no matter how loudly he screams.